In this next section, we're going to actually start to set up the doseBadge in preparation for putting it on a person to collect our occupational noise information. So what we're going to do is we're going to assume that these badges are fully charged, and we're going to take one of these badges off the docking station and then use our reader unit with it. So let's go through this. So first of all, I'm going to take one of these off, just spin it off. Here it is. We're assuming it's fully charged, which is great. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it in this slight hole at the top. And then what we're also going to do is when we put it in there, we're going to make sure that this small window here is aligned perfectly with this small window here on the doseBadge. The reason for that is, obviously, when you've looked at your doseBadge, you'll find, pretty obviously, there are no screens, there are no buttons, and you think, well, how are we going to set this going and know what's happening? And this is how I'm going to show you this. So we've got a small window here, a small window there. So these two units communicate through an infrared communication system through these windows. So what we're going to do is, and this is what you must do every single time you start to use a doseBadge, you're going to pop it into this small hole at the top. So that just fits in nice and neatly, and we're going to align these two windows together so that they're pointing at each other. So once we've got that in there, we're going to go through a little process. And this is the same process you would do every single time. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use this reset button here on the top left. So if I press the reset button, and it's asking you to say OK, and it's going to go through a resetting process. You'll see it spin across the screen, and then what it'll do is once it's reset the badge, you'll see you might have caught that it's going to see a little small flashing blue light on there, just flashes twice, and then that is the badge reset. What does that do? Basically, that clears the memory in the doseBadge, and then it sets the date and time that you've already set in the reader, so it's copying the date and time across. So that's one reason why you need to make sure the date and time in the reader unit is correct. And the other thing it's going to do is copy down all of the settings that you've got in the reader unit that you've set up. So we've turned the time history on, so this doseBadge knows the time history is on. If you've changed any of the settings, the criterion time, exceedance values, etc., for your territory, all of those settings will also be copied into the doseBadge, so it knows how to calculate the occupational noise information. So that's the reset. It's now ready to go. It's a blank doseBadge, for want of a better term. But of course, like all good people who are using sound monitoring equipment, we're going to calibrate now. And that's the second button here, the cal button. So now let's press cal and let's see what happens. So we're going to see a calibration bar going across the screen. And if you listen very closely, and you won't be able to hear on this video, but you'll hear a tone. So this is giving the doseBadge a 114 decibel tone at a specific frequency of 1 kilohertz. And the doseBadge is listening to that, and it's saying, right, and it's feeding back information to the reader unit. And what it's going to do is it's going to calibrate the doseBadge. If you look here, it says calibrating OK, which is good. Calibrate it to 114 decibels. And it will have made a small offset. Tiny adjustment to make sure it's completely accurate, and all you do is press OK, and that's done. So what have we done? We've reset the doseBadge, we've cleared it out, we've got all the settings, the date and time is correct, and then we've calibrated the doseBadge, so it's now accurate. And now we could just press the next button there, run, but I'm not going to do that just yet. What I'm going to do is now show you how to set the doseBadge up to put on a person.